Hello fellow WildRift enjoyers and welcome back to another RiftGuides WildRift video. For today we're going to take a look at the newest tier list for patch 3.2a and well, it's gonna be a few upsets here and there, but before we dive into it, let's take a look at our question of the day. What are your thoughts on the Divine Sundra? Let me know in the comments below. So let's start our tier list with the Baron lane, and here we have a big problem, a big troublemaker that has been under the radar for far too long. It's Riven. With the Divine Sundra update and Riven being Riven and all other champions being nerfed, this champion is an absolute abomination. Her laning phase is just too powerful. Whoever she faces, you can just waltz into them level 1 and spam her first ability and auto attacks and sequence, and then she just wins for free. It is just absolutely disgusting what she can do. If it wasn't bad enough already, she can also just clear the wave instantaneously while doing so. What other champion can do that? None other, because yeah, well, it's just a Riven thing. And the biggest issue about this is that this Riven thing gets out of control super fast. Most of the Baron laner nowadays are either autofill or don't really have any idea what they're doing. So if they're playing against a lane bully, and Riven is a true lane bully, they're in a big set of troubles. And once the Riven starts snowballing, you will just die on cooldown. Especially level 5, her damage is absurd, especially matched with the ignite. For items, you want the Black Cleaver and Divine Sundra. Why exactly Divine Sundra on Riven? If you think about how your champion works and how many spells you spam, you'll quickly realize how many Spellblade procs you will get from Divine Sundra. And the biggest thing about this item is not only it does deal damage, it also keeps you alive. The item in itself has a lot of HP, but the effective HP it grants you, even though the damage is rather low compared to the other items you can have, but it scales very well because it's max HP damage, will keep you alive for sure. In every fight you at least heal for like 500 to 600 depending on the length, and you'll be very surprised how much that can change the outcome of any skirmish. Oh yeah, and it has ability haste, so more spells, more spamming, more healing, more damage. You know the usual, just a Riven thing. Ban this champion, thank you. And this is our full tier list for the Baron lane. Next up comes the jungle role, and here we have another rising star once again. It's Morgana. With the fastest full clear in the game, she's just taking over games in an instant. Other junglers feel the need to coin flip gank early on after free camps, but Morgana? Nah, not really. She can just fully clear her jungle, relax, reset, and do it again and again and again. The only thing you have to be very aware of is not getting invaded early game. This can be very detrimental for your gameplay and can really ruin your game, so you need proper ward coverage and then you're fine and good to go. For your first item you want Liandry's Torment in the jungle role, but this means you also need every single blue buff in the game. This item is just too powerful for the clearing efficiency, objective taking and poking enemies. Don't forget, your puddle deals more damage when the enemy is lower, and just touching them once isn't too much of damage, but if you have a Liandry it adds really to that damage. For the next item you want Rylace for the crowd control. With this, the puddle will slow them, your Liandry will deal more damage and they'll get more ticks of the item. Therefore you'll be like kind of a utility champion that still deals a lot of damage unless you run out of mana. So really pay attention to your mana bar, and if you run out of mana, go base and reset. Let's quickly tackle as to why Morgana is such a nice champion. A lot of jungle champions are fully committal champions, which means you go in, and if you're in, you are in, which means you don't get out easily again, unless you're Lee Sin who can just jump out again. But with Morgana you can constantly fish for anything you want, binding after binding after binding, and puddle after puddle after puddle. Once the enemy is low enough, you can then proceed on doing whatever you want. If you think a little bit further as well, you can realize how this champion becomes even stronger as the game goes on, especially if you look at sieging scenarios. It gets very difficult to defend towers when there's a Morgana around, because you can just place the puddle behind the tower and you can't stay there, because you'll slowly die, and once you're low enough, the enemy team will just dive you, and there's nothing you can do about it, unless you jump the Morgana and the team in an instant and hope it will be enough. And this is our full tier list for the jungle role. Next on this list comes the mid lane, and here we have Singed. This champion is just too easy to use and too influential in what he does. You basically always start with the Ruby Crystal, then you just push the lane as per usual because mages can't really kill you, and with the trading of your HP bar you'll get minions. Once you're low enough you just go base, but here is the real deal about going base. When you go base you want to rush boots with a Protobelt enchant as fast as possible. Once you achieve that plus level 5, you will just make your way to another lane, most likely the dragon lane, and then get somebody killed. With this you will accelerate the game, get your bot lane fed, and get the game rolling. But here are a few things that you have to be aware of. Your champion is kinda squishy. Whenever you don't have your ultimate going on, you'll have little to no resistances, which means you will die fast. Also, you have to really go in. You have to expose your body to risk, and while putting yourself at this risk, you have to make a play happen. Often, this will actually lead to your death without getting anything done, but it is something you have to do. You have to abuse the power of your speed, the moment of surprise, and the proto belt. With that combination, you have everything you need to fling them into your team and finally get them killed. Another thing you have to also be very aware of is how you use your second ability. It can be the game changer, but it's a slow one because it has travel speed. So when you locate an enemy carry you want to kill, just make sure you drop down your second ability so he can't run from you, so he can't flash from you, and he's just stuck there. And the moment you input the fling command, you're going to see an enemy carry instantaneously die to the power of your team. You just love to see it. And this is our full tier list for the middle lane. Now let's move over to the AD carry role, and here we have a special pick just for you that gets better and better and better the better you are with your hands. If you're actually quite proficient with using your hands and making precise inputs and knowing your limits, then this champion will be surprisingly powerful, kind of overpowered at least. Here we have Lucian. With Lucian we have an AD carry that typically was lost in the previous times because of the mage meta, but due to the item changes and the rune changes and everything that is in place, this champion is now crazy thanks to the power of Stormrazor, Infinity Edge and the Solari Charge Blade. Lucian is one of those champions that gets stronger as you understand what you can abuse in lane. What you can do is aiming with your first ability every time the enemy gets close to a last hit. You just preemptively aim onto a minion, snipe him and then deal some damage to the enemy. You repeat this process over and over again until the enemy is low enough for you to all in. You can do the same thing with your second ability, just be sure to not waste too much mana. And then, once you see an opportunity, you can just dash in and get them killed. It's simply that easy, unless your support doesn't want to play with you. As the game goes on, you need to be aware of another thing: the second ability and the ultimate combo. If you combine both, you'll constantly get a surge of movement speed which will help you chase down any target you want. Unless it's over walls, because then it gets kinda weird using your ultimate. If we are talking about the maximum burst damage possible, then Lucian is one of the most strongest AD carries in the game right now. If you learn how to properly combo and weave auto attacks in between every single spell, you will demolish everything in your way. Any AD carry literally dies in less than 1 second once you're full build, or at least have 3 items called Solari Charge Blade, Stormrazor and Infinity Edge. By the way, don't build Solari Charge Blade first, it was just a bait, please don't go Stormrazor, Infinity Edge, Solari Charge Blade. Thank you. And this is our full tier list for the AD carry role. Last but not least comes the support role, and here we have the lovely cow Alistar. With Alistar being a solid staple in basically every stage of the game, it's time to get the game rolling. This champion loves engaging, loves diving and loves taking damage, and he does it very well unless you're called Vayne, because in the end Vayne doesn't really care about your damage reduction, she'll just kill you with true damage, and that's how it is. But let's talk about Alistar's laning phase. For his first item, he most of the time wants the Ruby Crystal just to be more durable in lane, simply because he can't really do too much. Level 1 he's just useless and just looks at the enemy menacingly. The only thing he can do is flash in and yeah, that's it. However, on level 2 he can finally start playing the game once he gains access to his normal combo. However, note that he can't really chase anyone down because he lacks his third ability. On level 3 he can finally kill anyone in his way, and all he has to do is hit the initial combo and have his third ability running. Once the enemy flashes away, you'll simply flash after them and stun them with your third ability, and your AD carry will take care of the rest. For the items, you want to rush a proto belt just to make sure you can make more and more plays around the map. Your champion loves to dive and accelerate the game. Being stuck in lane is something you really don't want to, so if you can't achieve anything in your lane, make sure to go to another one. You want to test out the Seed Jar as your first item, its stats are just kind of insane. For your second item you can think about Zeke's or Sunfire, but Zeke's, if you have a proper AD carry, is a crazy item, so you should definitely give it a shot. And that's our full list for the support tier. Thank you all for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. If you want to catch some streams, just come by. If you want to follow our socials, follow our socials. If you want to follow Patreon, go follow Patreon. We offer everything you can dream of. Anyway, see you next time. Peace.